The training arena on Carthex Station fell silent as I walked through the doors. It wasn't a respectful silence. It was the kind of quiet that comes right before laughter, the collective intake of breath before the punchline lands. I'd heard it before on 3 different stations in 4 different combat guilds. By now, I should have been used to it. "Is that a human?" someone whispered, loud enough to carry across the sparring floor. "Actually applying to the trials." Another voice added, disbelief dripping from every word. "This'll be entertaining," a third voice rumbled, something large and reptilian by the sound of it. I kept my eyes forward, focused on the registration desk where a bored-looking Thracian clerk was processing applications. Behind me, the whispers grew into outright conversation, then laughter, always laughter. "Humans are prey species," someone announced, as if I couldn't hear them. "Deathworlders, sure, but soft Deathworlders. They've got no natural weapons, no armor plating, no venom, just meat." More laughter. I clenched my jaw and kept walking. The Thracian clerk looked up as I approached, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Name and species for registration," she droned. "Connor Reeves, human." Her scales rippled, the Thracian equivalent of a raised eyebrow. "You're aware this is registration for the Apex Trials, the most prestigious combat competition in this sector." "I'm aware." "And you're aware that humans have never qualified past the preliminary rounds, that most don't survive the first challenge." "I'm aware of that, too." She studied me for a long moment, then shrugged, a gesture she'd probably picked up from other humans. "Your funeral, credits up front and sign the liability waiver. The station assumes no responsibility for death, dismemberment, or consumption by other competitors." I paid the fee, signed the waiver, and took my registration chip. Behind me, the laughter had died down to occasional chuckles and pointed comments. "Look at him, thinks he's a predator. Probably saw too many vids about humanity's endurance and got confused. Someone should tell him endurance doesn't matter when you're dead in the first 30 seconds." I turned to face the arena floor, where dozens of competitors were warming up. They were impressive, I had to admit. There were krill hunters with serrated claws that could tear through hull plating. Vorkai warriors whose skin secreted paralytic toxins. Even a pair of Drakmori whose 6 arms each ended in bone blades honed to molecular sharpness. And then there was me. 6 feet tall, no natural weapons, no armor, no venom. Just a human who'd grown up on Earth streets, learned to fight in 100 back alley scraps, and stubbornly refused to accept that humans didn't belong in the galaxy's top combat tiers. "Attention, competitors." A massive holographic display flickered to life above the arena. "Preliminary trials begin in 1 standard hour. Survive your assigned challenge and you advance to the qualifying rounds. Fail and, well, your estates will be notified." The display showed the randomized challenge assignments. I found my name, Connor Reeves, Survival Trial, Sector 7, duration 30 minutes. Simple enough. Survive for 30 minutes in whatever hellscape they threw me into. I was making my way toward the preparation area when a massive figure stepped into my path. I had to crane my neck up to see his face. A krill, easily 8 feet tall, his exoskeleton gleaming with combat scars and ceremonial etchings. "Human," he growled, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "You should withdraw now, save yourself the embarrassment." "I'm good, thanks," I said, trying to step around him. His clawed hand shot out, not quite touching me but blocking my path. "I'm being merciful." "You're outclassed here, Every competitor in this arena could kill you without effort, your prey pretending to be a predator. Something hot flared in my chest. I'd heard variations of this speech 100 times. "Then I guess you've got nothing to worry about," I said evenly. "If I'm so far beneath you, why bother talking to me?" His mandibles spread wide, a threatening display. "Because watching prey die is distasteful when they don't even understand their prey." "Noted, now move." For a moment, I thought he might actually attack me right there. His muscles tensed, his claws flexed. Around us, other competitors had stopped to watch, anticipating the show. Then a voice cut through the tension like a knife through silk. "Is there a problem here?" The crowd parted immediately, and the Krill warrior's aggressive posture evaporated. He stepped back so quickly he nearly stumbled. Three figures approached from the far side of the arena, and the reaction they generated was electric. Competitors who'd been laughing and joking moments ago suddenly found urgent business elsewhere. Even the hardened veterans straightened up, their various forms of body language screaming respect and wariness. The Apex Hunters. I'd heard of them, of course. Everyone had. They were legend. A three-person team that had won the last 4 Apex trials consecutively, a feat that hadn't been accomplished in over a century. They were the best of the best, the pinnacle of combat prowess in this entire sector. The leader was a Velkari female, her orange skin marked with platinum bioluminescent patterns that indicated a kill count I didn't want to think about. Her blonde hair was tied back in warrior braids, and her eyes, predatory gold, swept the arena with casual dominance. Beside her walked a Thracian male, larger than any I'd seen, his scales a deep crimson that marked him as a veteran of hundreds of hunts. His 4 eyes missed nothing. The third was something I didn't recognize, bipedal, covered in midnight blue fur with silver stripes, with eyes that seemed to reflect light like a cat's. Whatever species he was, he moved with a fluid grace that suggested lethality in every muscle. They stopped a few feet from me and the Krill warrior. The Velkari, I recognized her now from the vids, Zarakai, the Crimson Reaper, tilted her head slightly as she regarded the Krill. "I asked if there was a problem," she repeated, her voice soft but carrying an edge that could cut steel. "No problem, Huntmaster," the Krill said quickly, using her formal title. "I was simply advising the human about the dangers of the trials." How thoughtful! Zarakai's tone suggested it was anything but. Her golden eyes shifted to me, and I felt the weight of her assessment. "And what did you think of this advice, human?" Every instinct I had screamed at me to be diplomatic, to thank the Krill for his concern and move on. But I'd spent too many years being told what I couldn't do, where I didn't belong. "I thought it was condescending," I said honestly, "and presumptuous." Dead silence. Somewhere in the arena, someone dropped a piece of equipment and the clang echoed like a gunshot. Then Zarakai smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile, it was the smile of a predator who'd found something interesting. "Victor," she said, addressing the Thracian beside her, "what do you think? Should the human withdraw?" The massive Thracian leaned forward, his 4 eyes studying me with unsettling intensity. "He has warrior's eyes," Victor rumbled. "Pray don't look at hunters the way he's looking at us." The third member of the team, the blue-furred being, circled around me slowly. I forced myself not to track his movement, not to show the nervousness I felt. "His heart rate is elevated," the being said, his voice a low purr, "but controlled. Fear, yes, but not panic, and his stance." He stopped directly in front of me, defensive but ready to attack if necessary. Interesting. Zarakai stepped closer, invading my personal space. This close, I could see the subtle patterns in her skin, the old scars beneath the bioluminescence, the absolute confidence of someone who'd never lost a fight. "What's your name, human?" "Connor Reeves." "Why are you here, Connor Reeves?" "To compete, to prove I belong here." "You know what they say about humans," she said conversationally. "Soft, weak, prey species playing at being predators." She paused. "Do you believe that's what you are?" I met her golden eyes directly, refusing to look away even though every prey instinct in my human brain was screaming at me to submit. "I believe I'm whatever I prove myself to be, not what anyone else decides for me." For a long moment, she just stared at me. Then she turned to the Krill warrior who'd confronted me. "You're withdrawn from the trials," she said flatly. The Krill's mandibles gaped. "What? But I—" "You heard me. You're out." "On what grounds?" he demanded, his voice cracking with indignation. Zarakai's smile was cold. "On the grounds that any warrior who wastes time mocking an opponent instead of respecting the challenge they represent isn't worthy of the apex trials. A true hunter knows that the most dangerous prey is the kind that doesn't know it's supposed to lose." She gestured dismissively. "Collect your registration fee on the way out." The Krill looked like he wanted to argue, but one glance at Victor and the blue-furred hunter made him reconsider. He left quickly, his exoskeleton clicking with what I assumed was humiliation. Zarakai turned back to me. "Sector 7 survival trial 30 minutes, she said, having clearly checked my assignment. "That's the razorwing nest. Nasty creatures, fast, vicious, hunt in packs. Most competitors don't last 10 minutes. "I'll manage," I said with more confidence than I felt. "Yes," she said thoughtfully, "I think you might." She stepped back, her teammates flanking her. "We'll be watching. Connor Reeves, don't disappoint us." They walked away, and the normal noise of the arena slowly resumed. But everything had changed. The looks I was getting now weren't mocking. They were confused, uncertain, even worried. The apex hunters had acknowledged me, had defended me. In this world where reputation was everything, that meant something. 30 minutes later, I stood at the entrance to Sector 7, watching the countdown timer tick towards 0. Through the reinforced viewing windows, I could see the trial arena, a simulated cliff environment with dozens of cave openings. The razorwings were in there somewhere, waiting. I'd researched them during my prep time. Avian predators with serrated beaks and wing claws sharp enough to slice through armor. They hunted cooperatively, using aerial superiority to overwhelm their prey. Standard tactics wouldn't work. You couldn't outrun them and you couldn't fight them in the air. But I wasn't planning to do either. The countdown hit 0. The door opened. I stepped into the arena. The first razorwing attacked within seconds, diving from a high cave with a shriek that was probably supposed to freeze prey in terror. I was already moving, sliding under its attack trajectory and grabbing a fist-sized rock as I rolled to cover behind a boulder. The creature wheeled around for another pass, and 2 more emerged from nearby caves. They were coordinating, trying to hit me from multiple angles. I waited until the last possible second, then threw the rock with every ounce of strength I had. It caught the lead razorwing square in the chest, and the creature tumbled from the sky with a squawk of pain and surprise. The other 2 hesitated, just for a moment, but it was enough. I was already running, not away from them, but toward the cliff face. My fingers found handholds in the rock, and I started climbing. Razorwings were aerial predators. They were used to prey that ran on the ground or tried to hide in caves. What they weren't expecting was prey that went up. I climbed fast, my years of urban free running on Earth translating surprisingly well to alien cliff faces. Below me, the razorwings shrieked in confusion and anger. They tried to follow, but their wing claws weren't designed for climbing. They were designed for slashing. I reached a narrow ledge about 30 feet up and wedged myself into a defensive position. The razorwings could still reach me, but only one at a time, and they'd have to come at me from awkward angles. The first one to try got a boot to the face and fell shrieking. The second one actually managed to land on the ledge with me, its beak snapping toward my throat. I caught it by the neck. It was lighter than I expected, all hollow bones and feathers built for flight, and used its own momentum to slam it against the rock face. It went limp and I dropped it. The remaining razorwings seemed to reassess. They circled, shrieking, but they weren't attacking anymore. I'd killed 2 of their pack and injured a third. In their predator calculus, I was no longer easy prey, I was a threat. The rest of the 30 minutes passed in tense standoff. The razorwings kept watch, occasionally feinting at me, but they weren't committing to another attack. And I stayed on my ledge, conserving energy, watching the timer count down. When the buzzer finally sounded, signaling the end of the trial, I felt my entire body sag with relief. The viewing windows lit up, and I could see the crowd that had gathered to watch. There were hundreds of them, competitors, spectators, officials, and standing at the front, clearly visible through the reinforced glass, were the apex hunters. Zarakai was smiling, not the predatory smile from before, but something that might have been approval. The door opened, and I climbed down from my ledge carefully. My muscles were screaming, my hands were scraped raw, and I was pretty sure I'd pulled something in my shoulder. But I was alive. As I exited Sector 7, the crowd parted. The whispers now weren't mocking, they were speculative, reassessing. He actually survived, killed 2 razorwings with his hands. Maybe humans aren't as soft as we thought. I walked through the arena, heading for the competitors' area when Zarakai intercepted me. 30 minutes, she said, and you used tactics I've never seen against razorwings. Impressive. Thank you, Huntmaster. Drop the formality, it's Zara. She studied me with those golden predator eyes. You didn't fight like prey Connor Reeves. You fought like someone who's had to survive against bigger, stronger opponents your entire life. That's pretty accurate, actually. The qualifying rounds start tomorrow, she said. They'll be harder, much harder. Most of the remaining competitors are veteran hunters who have been training for this their whole lives. I know, but you're still going to compete. It wasn't a question. Yes. She exchanged glances with Victor and the blue-furred hunter, who I'd learned was named Silvar from a species called the Nexian stalkers. Good, Zara said finally, because we've decided something. Anyone who mocks you, anyone who calls you prey, anyone who suggests humans don't belong in the trials. Her smile was sharp and dangerous. They'll answer to us. The apex hunters don't protect the weak, but we respect warriors regardless of species, and you, Connor Reeves, are a warrior. I didn't know what to say. Around us, I could see the effect her words were having. Competitors who'd been planning to continue the mockery suddenly found other things to focus on. Officials who'd been dismissive were now taking notes on their data pads. The apex hunters had said no. No to the ridicule, no to the dismissal, no to the idea that humans were just prey pretending to be predators. And in this world, when the apex hunters said no, everyone listened. I won't let you down, I said quietly. See that you don't. Zara replied, then more gently, but even if you wash out in the qualifiers, you've already proven something important. You've proven that humans can belong here if they're willing to fight for it. She walked away, her team following, leaving me standing in the middle of the arena floor. Around me, the whispers continued, but they were different now. There was respect in them, grudging perhaps, but real. I'd survived the preliminary trials. I'd earned acknowledgement from legends, and tomorrow I'd face the qualifying rounds. But for the first time since I'd started this journey, I felt like I might actually belong here. Not because of what species I was, but because of what I'd proven I could do. And that made all the difference.